Jerry, where are you? Oh, there you are. What a guy. Life got more interesting when I met Jerry, that's all I can say. Okay, well, thank you so much. It's great to talk to this group. A lot of fun indeed. So here are the major points that I'm going to try to get through. I'm going to begin by talking about the evolution problem that we all know about. That's the beginning. But then I want to connect that, like the tip of the iceberg, to a number of other problems. One is the fact that skepticism and fear of evolution goes way beyond religious belief. There's a tremendous amount of discomfort about evolution, even among folks who are secular, basically, who are not necessarily religious believers. I call this secular creationism. I want to explain what that's like. Then there's a problem we all know about, the fragmentation of knowledge. So much is so disconnected, and this is especially true if you're at a university, and there's all those departments, there's all those fields. All those fields are subdivided into smaller subdisciplines in an almost infinite fractal progression. So is there anything that we can do about the fragmentation of knowledge? And the answer to that is yes. I kind of regard myself as a evolutionary evangelist, so I have good news for you today. So I think there is a unified theory of humanity, very much in the spirit of my colleague Ed Wilson's book, Consilience, and that we're on our way to achieving that, and also that this same unified view of humanity can be used to improve the quality of life in a practical sense. And so that's why I'm here to talk with you today. And as Jerry said, this has a very concrete goal, the creation of an evolutionary think tank. This is Jerry's brainchild. He just called me out of the blue one day and said, hello, my name is Jerry Lieberman, and I have this idea. And so this would be a mechanism for using evolutionary theory to inform public policy. I can testify that it would be unique, and it will do something that will not happen otherwise. We've already made progress on this in the organization of a workshop on early childhood education as a proof of concept. And I will tell you a little bit more about that during my talk. Many other applications. And since you've been asked to write things on 3x5 cards, one thing I would ask you is, what would you like to see an evolutionary think tank address? What problem in everyday life would you like to see addressed by a think tank? So we're all here to walk the walk, not just talk the talk, and that includes myself. I've really become quite engaged in this project, not knowing how it would go, but I'm very excited about it myself, and I'm certainly willing to commit my own energy to it, okay? So, here's the facts that we all know. Over 50% of Americans claim to disbelieve the theory of evolution. Doesn't seem to matter how educated you are. Focused educational efforts often seem to fail. Again and again, there are these efforts in the legislature to introduce creationist thinking into our public schools, and it gets worse. For me, the most disturbing fact about public acceptance of evolution is not that 50% of Americans don't believe the theory, but that the other 50% do not connect it to matters of importance in their lives. Even those who believe the theory are mostly, it's about dinosaurs and fossils and humans evolving from apes, but not about what it might mean in our day-to-day lives. And if there was a poll that measured the fraction of people that really use evolution to think about current affairs, that proportion would be absolutely minuscule. And it gets worse. I like to say there's two walls of resistance to evolution. One is denying evolution altogether, that's creationism and intelligent design. But the other is to accept evolution for other creatures, for the rest of life, but to deny its relevance to human affairs. And this wall of resistance has been maintained within the academy, within the ivory tower, for most of the 20th century. So now there's a very complex history behind this. When Darwin came up with his theory of evolution, it was obvious to everyone at the time that it would have revolutionary implications for our understanding of ourselves. But for complex reasons, evolutionary theory became largely confined to the biological sciences and remained so for most of the 20th century. Not human genetics, not physical anthropology, not specialized fields like that, but for most other areas, we've had this kind of apartheid. And part of it had to do with ideological associations. That evolution became associated with social Darwinism, with the justification of inequality, basically, a hierarchical class society, and colonialism. And for these and other reasons, evolution became restricted in this way. And so this is what I mean by secular creationism. I'll give you two examples. One is the intellectual traditions of postmodernism and social constructivism. This is a very strong position in the humanities, in literature departments, for example, and also cultural anthropology. Here's a wonderful quote by Barbara Ehrenreich and Janet McIntosh. This little article began with a story about a woman who went to a conference on emotions, and she was talking about emotions as biologically evolved adaptations, and she just got shouted down, basically, by other participants at this conference. And so Ehrenreich and McIntosh say the result is an ideological outlook eerily similar to that of religious creationism. Like their fundamentalist Christian counterparts, the most extreme anti-biologists suggest that humans occupy a status utterly different from and clearly above that of all other living beings. And like the religious fundamentalists, the new academic creationists defend their stance as if all human dignity and all hope for the future were at stake. And there is the same passion about rejecting evolution when it comes to human affairs, as you will find in a fundamentalist religious believer. And that is very interesting, something I will continue to talk about during this talk. Now, this is not just confined to the humanities. Here's a quote from political scientist Ian Lustig at University of Pennsylvania, could say this in 2005. Of course, social scientists have no objection to applying evolutionary theory in the life sciences, biology, zoology, botany, etc. Nevertheless, the idea of applying evolutionary thinking to social science problems commonly evokes strong negative reactions. In effect, social scientists treat the life sciences as enclosed within a kind of impermeable wall. Inside the wall, evolutionary thinking is deemed capable of producing powerful and astonishing truths. Outside the wall, in the realm of human behavior, applications of evolutionary thinking are typically treated as irrelevant at best, usually as pernicious, wrong, and downright dangerous. Ian Lustig, in his own work, does computer simulation models of the Middle East, cultural evolution in the Middle East. Very interesting work. And so this failure to extend evolutionary theory beyond biology, as I said, is connected to an even larger problem, the fragmentation of knowledge. You know, if you're a biologist, if you're an evolutionary biologist, and I know that there's a few of you in the audience here, you are lucky, because what you can do is you can study all species, all subjects, from the same theoretical perspective. That's why someone such as myself can study beetles on Monday, fish on Tuesday, competition on Wednesday, sex on Thursday, and listen to the work of others with understanding and appreciation, because all of these things are a manifestation of basic principles which we can understand and appreciate. And so there's a kind of a transcendence of knowledge which has already taken place in the biological sciences, okay, which has not taken place yet for human-related subjects. And so if you're a psychologist, you have no compelling reason to also be an anthropologist or a political scientist, okay? And so this is what already exists in the biological sciences and which can exist for human-related subjects, as we will see. In my book, Evolution for Everyone, I say that the ivory tower is better named the ivory archipelago. Hundreds of islands with limited communication among islands. And I think a lot of you have experience in academia, and so I see a few of you nodding your heads here, so I don't think I need to tell you much more about that.